Hi, I'm Laurel Thomsen, and today I'm going to be sharing with you a couple of small condenser mics that can be added to your instrument to amplify the sound without altering your instrument. So if you have a violin or fiddle, or a viola, a cello, or other similar stringed instrument, you can use these mics without needing a lot of bolts and clamps or altering the bridge or other things that come with a lot of the pickups out there, and also all of the just kind of hardware that comes with some of the other mics out there that you might be using. It's really nice that, that these can fit so easily onto your instrument. You can literally go on and off within just a couple minutes, and they come in this nice box so that when you're on your way to your gig, you're not going to be smushing your mic. The mics are called Remic, R-E-M-I-C, and the website is remic.dk. So if you want to check that out. So once you open the box, you get this nice cushy bag, which I find fits really well into my instrument case inside where I put my shoulder rest. And we have two different kinds of mics. One is called the 5200 LB, and this one is for situations where you might be with a big orchestra or a big band. I've done some work with a Cat Stevens tribute group, which is a 6-piece band, and also with a Beatles tribute band, and we did Magical Mystery Tour, and there was, I want to say, probably 15 people on stage. So when you're in those kind of situations, feedback is a problem when you're playing a stringed instrument, or any type of instrument mostly, and you definitely don't want that. So these ones, I was amazed at how loud I could crank the gain, and still I'm being amplified, but there's none of that squealing that happens when we get too loud with microphones. So this is an XLR cable, and it does require phantom power. So if you're sitting pretty close to your amp, as I am, you can just run this straight into your amp. Or if you need another cord, an XLR cord, then you can obviously use that. The mic looks like a little wedge, and one side is kind of a sloped side, and then the other one is flat. And it's the flat side that you want to place it against the belly of your instrument. And there are a couple different placements that I experimented with. And depending on what kind of music you're playing and what your instrument sounds like without any amplification, you might choose one of those over the other, or you might even find something else that you like the best. But I'm going to show you these two placements and play you a couple different pieces with those placements. So first, let me plug this in, and I have the gain way down for starters. But I have the EQ just level, so there's nothing altered around the lows, the mids, or the highs. And the first placement that I want to show you is underneath the fingerboard. So you can take the little wedge, and again, the side that's just flat, not the side that's kind of sloping and scalloped to there. You're going to just place that flat side against the belly, and I'm just going to put it right in the middle, and I'm going to leave a little bit of the microphone side, which is again that scalloped side, sticking out. And then the cord, which is actually the first thing that I noticed, it has kind of like a cotton weave material over it, which I thought, wow, what a great idea. I've had other microphones and different cords and stuff where they're always plastic or kind of a rubbery material, and if they hit against the violin, sometimes it makes a little bit of a clicking sound. So this is completely silent. It can hit against the violin all day long, and it's not going to be picked up by in the sound system, or if you're doing studio work, it's not going to be on your final mix. So I thought that was a really good idea. This cord does have this little foamy piece that's on it, and that can help you to just secure the cord somewhere on your instrument. So if I'm placing this underneath the fingerboard, I found that just taking it right to the edge of the fingerboard underneath was a good place, and then it can just kind of hang down there, and it's not going to bother me. I'm going to try a little piece now that I've been working on writing, actually. And it kind of has a little bit of a gypsy jazz feel as well as a bit of a classical feel. So whether you're playing more fiddle music or more classical music can give you hopefully a feel of how your instrument might sound with this microphone. So. did find about this placement though is that you get a little bit of the finger sound when I'm tapping on the fingerboard. So if I really get going, then that becomes a little percussive track in the background there that I don't necessarily always want. So I found that placing it underneath the tailpiece to be a good option for when I really get going, especially. And I have a slightly different type of tailpiece than many. It's called a Freer's tailpiece. And for me, both with how this fits underneath my tailpiece and then also just how the tailpiece is structured, I found that I like it when it's a little bit more on the G string side. So I'm just going to wedge that underneath. Again, the scallop side is up and the flat side is down. And I'm just going to have a little bit of it sticking out. And I found that the cord works pretty well if I wrap it around the tailpiece and then underneath my chin rest. And depending on what kind of chin rest you have, that may or may not work. Another place you could probably place it would maybe be taking it, and if you have a shoulder rest, you could kind of hook it under there. Or some people have a chin rest that maybe is a little bit further down. I have kind of a raised chin rest here, and you might be able to kind of wedge it there. That doesn't work for me though, so I'm going to stick with that original plan. And we're going to try the same piece of music here. Just listening for tone and listening, to make sure we're not getting those extraneous sounds anymore. Much cleaner there, I think, with the tailpiece placement, and I think also a little bit warmer too, so I like that. Now let me share with you the other microphone. So this one is it doesn't have the LB part in the name, and this one is more for studio work or if you're with a smaller ensemble. So the difference in the tone that it's picking up, it has a bigger range of vibrations that it might be picking up. So in a big kind of band setting, that might not be as good because you can't kind of crank it up as hot, but in a smaller ensemble, you can still get a really good volume without losing as much of the frequencies. So this one has a little red end of the cord there by the XLR, and then so you can tell if you have both. Got a green and a red one. So this one is just the V5020, not 5200 LB. It's LB, right? Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to just try the same placements there. So first with the fingerboard placement, and everything as far as the structure of these two mics is exactly the same. It's just, again, that kind of frequency range is a little bit wider on this one than the other one. So we'll see if we hear a difference here. And again, for this mic, I have all of the EQ level, so nothing is altered about the lows, the mids, the highs, depending on what kind of group you're playing with and what other instruments sound like, and even the acoustics of the room. You might find that you want to EQ a little bit differently, but we just want to give you kind of a baseline idea here and now for these two mics. So let's try this again. Interesting. I don't get as much of that fingerboard tapping sound on this one when I place it underneath the fingerboard. I do notice that there's a little bit more of, there's like almost a bit more of a kind of sparkly sound up there that I do like. And that would be something that if you were doing studio work, you would definitely be hearing, or if you're playing with in a duo or with a string quartet. But if you're playing with, you know, a big band or an orchestra, that would sort of be lost in the shuffle. So it really depends on what your situation is, which mic you choose. So now I'm going to be placing this underneath the tailpiece again to give you a sense of that. And I just set everything up the exact same way as the other one. And we'll try this out. So what I like about that placement and that mic there, we have a little bit more of the bass sound coming out. And for me as a player, when I hear that coming back from my monitors or from my amp, I feel more supported. So if it's a lot of kind of mid-range tones, then I tend to feel like, oh, where's my bass? So I like that because it's, you know, that placement for whatever reason. I guess because it's on the G string side, it seems to be picking up more of that bassier tone. So those are the two mics in a nutshell and the placements. Now I'm going to have my friend Dan come on and help me to demonstrate how these mics might sound with another instrument. Dan is a great guitarist and songwriter, and we're going to do another tune that I wrote, just a little snippet of one that has a little bit more of a, I guess it's full-on gypsy jazz. I write a lot of different types of music, but I don't know, these ones were kind of appealing to me today in doing this video. So I'm going to go with the tailpiece placement. I'm going to start with the V5020 LB, so the one more for a band situation. Hi, how's it going?
Very good.
Thanks for coming.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So we're just going to do a little bit of this. I have a couple of little double stops in there, and I was just thinking of something that might have a bit of a louder sound. It's called Rough 9/6, and it was a rough recording that I made, just kind of improvising, and I was recording it on September 6th, and when it came time to put it on a CD, I didn't come up with any other name other than what I originally labeled it as, Rough 9/6. So it sounds hopefully a little bit more interesting than the name would describe. But we're just going to try just a little selection from it. Okay, ready? So now, we're going to try that same piece that I've been demonstrating for you. And I'm going to try the other mic. Yeah, too bad I couldn't get like 8 other people to come in here and bring all their basses and drums and stuff, and then I really could have demonstrated this microphone and what it can do. I did get to play it recently with a big, big, loud, not the biggest band ever, but a very loud band, to the point where, yeah, as soon as my part was done, I left because it was so loud. But there was a rhythm guitar, electric, a lead electric guitar, a bass, some drums, and me. Barely being heard, but because of that mic I was heard, so that was good. So it definitely works, and I cranked up the gain all the way, and there was still no feedback. So that was very good. I think for Dan and I, if we were to play, say, a house concert or a venue, I would probably use this mic, which again is the V5020, and that would be enough. It would give all of the resonance that I like out of just my acoustic instrument. We don't have to be quite so loud. All right. All turned up. Okay, so we'll try this little selection, which doesn't have a name yet. I have to work on that. Okay. monotune mics, and I think that either would be wonderful for you to amplify your instrument. Yeah, I've just been really happy to come across these. I've tried a lot of different types of mics, and the fact that these are not distracting me and they're not altering my instrument is really the big selling point, as well as just the overall tone, you know, and the fact that there are two that you can choose from depending on what kind of situation you're going to be playing in, I think is it's just great. You know, sometimes just, you know, there's a lot of information online and it's hard to make a choice, you know, what might be the best situation for you. And I like that, you know, you can put them on different areas of your instrument, you can try different things, and there's nothing that at the end of the day, you know, it's not going to scratch, it's not going to alter the bridge, nothing's going to be changed. That was really important to me, as well as, like I said, it's not distracting. You know, these big mics that hover over the instrument and stuff, when I'm getting into the music, sometimes, you know, it catches my eye and it's like, whoa, what's that? You know, I'm trying to pay attention to what my bow's doing and what my fingers are doing. So these just, you know, it's like they're not even on there, and still they're amplifying the sound. So again, you can find them at remic.dk, that's REMIC. And again, I'm Laurel Thomsen, and you can find me at laurelthomsen.com. That's LaurelThomsen. So it was pretty cool to come across this Danish company, and I have a Danish last name. So yeah, so I feel like, it was meant to be. And you can find Dan and I at danandlaurel.ca. And yeah, I hope that you'll try these out and you'll get some good amplification off of your instrument. Have a nice day.